Hi, Rosie.
Hello.
Yeah, there she is.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys. Sorry we forgot.
That's
It's
okay.
all right.
Thanks for jumping on.
Just getting the ball rolling.
That's a good phone, Rosie. I figured, this time of night you'd be saying, I'm done.
Well, I am, but obviously we have a meeting.
Oh, hey, bud.
There's the other.
Hi, guys. Oh, we got Bob McLean coming on too.
Oh, nice.
Let's see, how many do we have now?
You're including Joan on that list, right?
I got Joan and Marty, Rosemary, Bill, and Bob, and yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more.
Michael,
Hey, Mike.
my colleagues. Hi, Michael, how you doing?
Good, good to see you.
4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that gives us 7 actually for a quorum.
Oh, right.
So if you want to call the meeting to order.
Sounds good. I have 7:33 p.m. on January 26, 2020, calling the Festival of Balloons meeting to order. First on the agenda is public comment. I think right now, the only members of the public that we have attending are Ellen and Lynn Blasich. Ellen and Lynn, anything you'd like to contribute for tonight?
Well, I think we're here just as longtime supporters. I have been starting the parade and have a couple guys at the front, and Lynn has, announced the parade. So we just want to let you know that we're both going to do those duties, and
If you want us.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
So if they wanted to become members of the committee, how would they go about that?
Well, essentially, I mean, we're not limited to the number of members. Primarily, the committees are set. We can form new committees, but initially a member at large would have all of the same voting privileges that a subcommittee member would have.
You don't,
Yeah.
if you don't need us.
We're okay just supporting, and we have Kiwanis that day too with the camp pound cake breakfast. Hopefully that will continue. So we're just here to
Be helpful.
be helpful. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We would welcome whatever input you guys have.
Okay.
All right, then. City Council Liaison Communications. John, that's you?
John's off the call because I have 2 other council members on.
All right, okay. Well, okay, do we want to get the mayor? We can jump on to number 7 if we.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So discussion regarding themes for 2023, 2022.
Why is she?
I heard somebody, I'm not sure.
Because she's the
Oh, the little guy. So I mentioned this to Joe and a couple of people, Lori DeChamber and Lisa Reynolds and Jim. On my visit this year to Philadelphia, I stopped at the new museum there. If you ever have a chance, it's incredible. Just opened a few years ago, called the Museum of the American Revolution, funded by 20,000 Americans, and a huge, substantial contribution by one of the 2 Indian tribes that actually fought on the side of the American colonies in the war. The others from the Iroquois Nation, Confederacy, and 90% of the other tribes fought against us. But they funded this museum and tell their story. Great story. So it inspired me. And I came to Joe and just kind of give him an idea. I don't want to touch anything that's going on with the parade, the fire. You guys have a well-oiled machine, as Glenn and Alan there. Everything goes great. I want to add a little of a twist maybe, and it would be no more work for you, but city staff like the library, community services, and community groups, and this is where it comes in too, like the nonprofit Fremont Center Theater, some groups like the Vecinos Latino group, and a gentleman who spoke at the council meeting the other night, Professor Felix Gutierrez from USC, who spoke about the historic Flores Adobe, which celebrated its 175th anniversary just 2 weeks ago. So what we'd like to do is, this really gave me a whole new perspective of probably what you learned in school, rewrote, I thought it was all the colonies against the British. It was actually a world war. They tell you the whole story, the collective story from many perspectives. And Lisa and Jim, she provided some public comment, wanted to do maybe at the Fremont Center Theater or the Library Community Room or Rialto or at the park. Her husband would do a play, one-person act. Other people could do, he would represent an African-American slave. What their perspective was, as the war started brewing, who are they going to support? The colonies wanted to keep them in slavery, or the British, who would probably free them. And the struggle they had determining who to support. Why did French and Spanish get involved? And actually the turning point in the war was when at Yorktown, if you've ever been, as beautiful in Virginia, where the Americans were besieged by the British pushing them back into the water, British were pushing back, and the French Navy came in and blocked the British Navy from coming in to save the British and destroy us. So really great stories here. And, so you could have a French general telling his or her perspective. The Spanish, why were they involved? They were down in Florida. They wanted to keep their colonies here. The Dutch were involved. So really great stories from a British, and even in America, the northern colonies hated the southern colonies. So they were, even the soldiers fought in Washington. So neat stuff there. We can show a couple of the films they have here at the museum. We can buy them and show them in the theater or movies in the park. So the 4th of July happens on a Monday. We could do a lot of this stuff before you start your operations on a Saturday and Sunday. Sheila gave me some great ideas. The library staff even said, we could even have a little exhibit inside the community room. We'll show what led up to the war, have little pictures, background. And we can also show not only what's going on in 13 colonies, but what was happening in California in 1776. So show what was happening here. And that's where the professor would come in, because only a couple decades after that, right here, 100 yards from my house, the Californios and Mexicans that were trying to, protect us against American expansion, were trying to battling with the American Fremont and said, let's meet at the Flores Adobe, and we've had enough. Let's draft the terms of settlement, and we'll go back to Mexico City, defend us from the Americans there, and we'll stay here back and forth. So there's a lot of history and a lot of great stuff as we're in this new age of racial reckoning and diversity and inclusion. It would be a great opportunity to really show the many perspectives and background of South Pasadena. So again, you could have like Shakespeare in the park, summer movies in the park, and different Fremont Center Theater, the other theater there on El Centro and Mound, who actually they have classes going on, and maybe the high school. So again, it'd just be kind of to complement what you're doing, and no extra work for you, but you can, of course, ideas, suggestions, and we would work with the city to do that. As long as, and the city manager's on board, I'll talk to my fellow accountant like Evelyn and others, but we would do all the effort on that. Again, there'd be something in the library, maybe community room exhibits, a couple of plays Saturday and Sunday leading up, maybe even some movies we'll purchase through community services for the whole community to see. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
What would the theme be, Michael? What would you call it? How would you wrap
Lisa brought it, we were talking about that. It was maybe like the struggle for freedom, which is still ongoing for some people. So there was a struggle for freedom, and it was everybody, the British, Americans against the British colonies, the slaves trying to determine they wanted their freedom. Even France and Spain were here, still kind of continuing the old French and Indian War that Britain had won 20 years ago. But it would be a struggle, our struggle as a country for freedom. And there really were a lot more people supporting us in that we couldn't have done it alone. The British were the most powerful navy in the world at the time. Without this, the
Right.
Spanish and French and Dutch just bankrolled us. The Indians, so there's a great story they show here of Washington's troops at Valley Forge when they were beaten back and they were dying of starvation. When the Oneida chief, and I live upstate New York and I always saw those names Oneida, I never knew. Big Indian population, they're the ones that broke away from the Iroquois, them in the Tuscaroos, and said, let's send support and food and corn and wheat to Washington. We've had a good relationship with him as general. We got to support him. We would have lost. So there's a really great story here of how we all had to work together as a community, all these different groups. And it's really interesting when the whole story of putting ourselves back there. Even the Americans, do they support Britain, loyalists, or do we fight for our freedom or our struggle for independence?
So do you see the city taking on a lot of this in conjunction with the
99% of it.
parade itself?
Not 99% of it, Bill. I don't want you guys, you have a well-oiled machine. And if you need support from the city again this year, I don't mind some of my discretionary money. But I don't want you do enough, and it's perfect. I don't want to touch that, but I want to add a little something different. And I think by doing this, we can even get more people involved. And maybe some of those groups, like Lisa and Jim, when I spoke to them, they said, Mike, we've been in the city all these years, and they're usually traveling in the summer. He's doing a lot for the military. They've never attended it. They've never attended a 4th of July celebration. Not one.
Oh. Wow.
But she says they need time. They want to get involved really. Lisa, she'll dress in period wear like she does in her own plays.
Yeah.
And Jim is excited about it. They did a great one-man play of Jackie Robinson. So they're him and his son, they're very talented there. So yeah, Bill, again, you just do what you do is perfect. And this is just an added feature, maybe that weekend before leading up to it. And that could even add more flavor to getting people to come and participate on Monday for the 4th of July.
I personally think that this is a great opportunity to get as many people involved and excited about the Festival of Balloons, especially those that have done other things or gone to other events or even out of town. But hearing that Jim and Lisa are planning on being or would like to be involved in it, those are the people that we really want to get excited about this, because the word spreads. The Festival of Balloons, I mean, we have great participation. Either half the city is in the parade and the other half is watching. But to make this a week, 2 week, 3 week run up to the event with various participants doing other things and doing other things on their own volition so that they can be creative and do what they feel needs to be done. I think it's a wonderful idea. Oh, by the way, I just got a hold of Michael Schlafer. He's running late, but he's walking in the house.
He's
Well,
online.
there he is.
Here.
Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Mr. Mayor, from your email, I distilled down a very short and catchy theme. As you all know, 2 years ago, we put together a theme that, although it kind of served the purpose at the time, because we had 30 additional people show up at the meeting, all volunteers wanting to get involved. And Diana Mahmood mentioned volunteers better together. We liked it, but it didn't excite anybody. It was a good one. It worked at the time. It's been 2 years since that. From Michael's emails and what he sent me, and basically pretty much what he told us just now, I put together a theme that says the struggle for freedom, America's long road to independence. it,
Catchy.
yeah, well, first of all, it's short and sweet. It will work very well with the fifth graders and their posters. It certainly fits in with the story that Michael told us, and, you know, obviously the story of the birth of the nation and what we had to go through to get here. And then, you know, the theme really helps us with the posters. It helps us with, you know, the idea. It's a catchy little deal, but it has never really gone any further than, you know, a nice theme in the posters and use it as a jumping off point. This is actually going to, I think, give us the opportunity to spread our wings, bring a lot of other people, a lot of other groups. Now we've got a cohesive unit that obviously we've been together for 30 plus years. We'd all like to move on and do other things, but our loyalty to the Festival of Balloons has endured. But if we get other individuals with other groups, I mean, we, Bob Joe and Sam Hernandez and Brent Dunlap and Ed Donnelly met a couple of months ago, and the dudes want to get involved. I think Spark would be an outstanding addition to our poster competition with the fifth graders. There are so many groups in this town, I think, that just will do anything that they can to, you know, bring the city together. And I think a lot of them would be very excited to participate. Any ideas?
What was your theme one more time? Struggle for freedom.
The struggle for freedom, America's long road to independence. And we can work around that any way we need to. It does need to be short and sweet.
Evelyn, did you want to say anything?
Yes, I actually celebrated with one of the president's library in Iowa. They did a reenactment of a mini reenactment of the Revolutionary War, and it was a week celebration. They had the bands, and almost everyone in the community had put on the period costumes, and they had pies, and at the entrance of the freeways they have lemonades and all the stuff. It was a big deal. And on the day of July 4th, it was a big parade of all the soldiers, you know, between the Confederates and the British. It was fun. And I witnessed it, and it was a lot of work though, for, I guess, for the Reynolds, they will enjoy it, and for the historical purposes of it. The library could put up movies and have the kids participate. And it's a great theme for posters.
Did you have any other comments from anybody else, Joe? Because I did have a public comment I can read.
You know, unless we have any other input from the committee members. Michael, is he still on?
Yes.
Michael, what do you think of the thing? Does that capture what you're
Joe, I think it does. I think that's great. I in the wording, we can, you know, modify. I think it's great, catchy, really catchy. And it's really I think the truth for a lot of groups is that it's still a long road for independence or the struggle for some people or groups, or it has been for those 200 years. So maybe struggle for freedom, Americans' journey, whatever you want to do. I love the intent.
the good thing about journeys is they really never end.
It's true. It's true.
So, no, I think that's a great idea.
What was that one more time?
Journey to Independence.
Yeah.
That works very well.
Take out Long Road and put Journey.
Yeah.
And so that's even, Joe, that's great because you just give me an idea. In the library, it'll be like a journey from when we first, what started the embers of the American Revolution, and then what was the final straw, and then the battles. And that's what they have in this map. You go to a different room, the battles, the darkest hours when Washington was beat back in New York. And then finally the fighting turned, the French Navy helped us. And then we had to start the struggle started where now how do we govern these people? And the struggle continues. But then we're also showing California with the Spanish and the native peoples, what was happening. And up to 1776, Gaspar de Portola, we've got that beautiful cross in Arroyo. And then we can even do a little right up to 1847, 175 years ago, when General Flores said that's enough. We've losing too much. You're losing. Let's draft the terms of settlement right here in South Pass. And it gives people the history. And you're right. It's still the journey going on. That's great. And Sheila, you had a couple ideas you thought of. Can you want to mention those?
Well, we talked about different things in the parade. If it's, if you get people in period costumes, if you're looking more about what happened in California, is there any, what tribes were around here that were going through struggles during that time, just kind of hitting different marks here, locally, San Gabriel Valley and the tribes here. We talked about, but I think, Michael, you just mentioned about, hitting those marks within South Pasadena. I think that would really be a nice thing for people to understand that we do have historical homes, but there's actually history to some of our homes. And it's not just because it's been here for 50 plus years, so-and-so this happened at this place, a lot of people, I didn't know. A lot of people ask me why that cross is over there on the road. I don't know, so if there's a meaning of it, well, we need to get little flashes of those things out, so that people understand what's in their city.
So Joe, I just was speaking to Antenna yesterday when we were filming Public Works, and we were talking about the history of the city. He was telling me history of the water in the city, and back in the 20s when the water director purchased all these rights. And he told me about the Garfias Springs and the Garfias Adobes. I said, where are those? That's not in the city. He goes, no, on Arroyo, right across from the cross. And Lynn's making, he said there's even a memorial there. I've never seen it. And they walk that street every day about the Spanish presence here. Lynn, I never knew, but I'm going to go by that this weekend and see if I can find it. He said it's on a property on a sidewalk somewhere across from the cross, Sheila.
Oh,
I never knew Garfias, who was famous, had a history in South Pass.
The word is that there was a cathedral oak there, and they stopped for the first Easter services in California. And I don't know if there's any other historical context behind it, but if you look at the plaque, that's the word, is that it was the first Easter celebration in California.
And Joe, I remember seeing that one time, and I think the date was like 1770 something.
Yes.
A private meeting.
Right around the time of the American Revolution. So this would be almost juxtaposed in a library for all of us to refresh our memory and learn a lot of new things. Just open up the really collective experience of all the different cultures that were here in the United States.
After.
And Sheila mentioned even maybe getting one of the Gabrielino Indians,
Yes.
inviting maybe a chief or one member of the tribe that's still here and active. These are their native lands, to maybe kick off something or do something in the library.
A drum line, yeah.
One of my
colleagues.
So I have a quick comment. We're working on the Eclectic Music Festival that's happening on the April 30th, which is about a month prior. I mean, you figure it's April, May, June, so a couple of months. Could we get some flyers and that sort of stuff sort of produced so we can hand out at the Eclectic to sort of help inspire people to come to 4th of July and tell them about all this wonderful stuff that we're talking about?
Yeah, we could work on that. I'd have to coordinate with, especially, with getting things booked and things like that in advance, if, and how we're gonna do it, but I'm sure we could.
Okay. I just thought the more people we can get the information out to, the more people might actually want to stay in town and watch what
Right.
happens.
I had a question, Joe, for the committee. I was even thinking maybe this is too much, or I don't want to do any politically incorrect. But what if, I would send a letter, not do this, I would have the city letterhead signed by the council inviting like the French ambassador to Spanish or Dutch, because they really played a role without this international cooperation in this struggle, it never would have happened. Or would that be upsetting some people? Because I also want to invite all different Indian groups, everybody, but I don't,
I think if we stay historically correct, we'll be fine. So I have no objection to that whatsoever.
Okay.
Regarding the theme, I did strike the word "the struggle" and I put "our struggle," just to throw that out there, but our struggle for freedom, America's journey to independence. That's my thought, but we can still work with it. Any other thoughts about the theme itself, or does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that sounds good, Joe. I think
Good.
Sounds good.
Michael. So I think that does capture the spirit of what's going on. And obviously we can talk about all the extracurricular activities as well. But I think that can really be an umbrella to celebrate all those different things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything that Michael included with his trip back east and the ideas that he has. I mean, I want to leave it up to the creativity of anybody who really wants to participate. As long as it, doesn't conflict with, the overall Independence Day theme. No, I think it's a great idea.
Joe,
Yes.
I was going to also suggest going green instead of the traditional parade of cars. I don't know if you would allow equestrians. I would like San Pascual Stables to get involved.
They have been involved. We have usually at least 2 equestrian groups.
Okay.
San Pascual State. Well, actually, I think Williams Stables has been. San Pascual Stables, not so much, although they're invited, but they tend to focus more on, they're not trail horses, so they kind of get a little bit spooked in parades.
Yeah, I believe that any horses that
Been involved in a long
participate in
time.
parades need to be essentially trained to be in a parade because there's so many distractions that can be a danger to the horse as well as the rider.
Yeah,
Does anybody have any connections to one or two of the groups that participated in the Rose Parade? Because they have, trained equestrians, horses that are used to be in a parade.
None of us have any contacts. I mean, we might be able to get a hold of SPTOR and see if they can reach out to anybody. Honestly, the number of entries that we have in the parade, which numbers usually the high 50s, gives us about an hour. If we added more entries, we would probably drag this thing out a little bit longer than the kids really have the attention span for. But no, we've had at least 2 equestrian groups in, and again, they're local. They're not, the big shot Rose Parade types. You know, they're the locals, mostly trail horses that have been involved with parades and, you know, don't get quite as spooked. But no, we've had equestrian groups for probably 10 years now or better.
Wonderful.
And I will definitely reach out to San Pasqual Stables and see if any of their boarders might be interested.
Thank
So can I read the comments into the record?
Yes.
The public comments for this item. So I received one when we had our, we're going to have our meeting in September from Lisa Reynolds, and I've also received one yesterday from Lisa. So I'm just going to read them both. So after hearing about Councilmember Canciotti's, well, now Mayor, inspiring visit to the Museum of American Revolution in Philadelphia, we would like to propose a segment of the Festival of Balloons called Struggle for Freedom, which would entail actors presenting poems, songs, and dramatic presentations to speak to the diversity of American history. We would be available to help organize a production, hopefully in the Rialto Theater or an outside space during the weekend of the 4th of July. And then her second comment was, we would be interested to produce diverse stories of American history, struggles for freedom, with local actors performing in the Rialto Theater stage, if it is available. Lisa and James Reynolds. So I just wanted to read those into the record.
Now, quick question, would the use of the Rialto be a cost factor?
I'm not sure. I would have to, dive further into that one.
Right. It's it's certainly not a cost that the committee is in a position to absorb, but if it can be done, I think that'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot of historical significance with the Rialto anyway. All right, any other discussion or talk regarding the theme?
So are we going to vote on a theme tonight?
I think we
Joe?
can.
No, we only have it
Yeah.
as an item for discussion. So I will bring it to the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. This it sounds like a very ambitious effort, and I like it. However, we sent this email about this meeting to lots of people, and we didn't get a lot of response tonight. So I'm just a little bit concerned about getting everybody on board to make all this happen. And Michael's right. It's a well-oiled machine when we have everybody on board. So maybe we need to make a good, solid effort to get more people involved in the next meeting. Just my thought.
Maybe Bill, before our next meeting, if you want to put something out in the paper, just, inviting people to, be a part of the Festival of Balloons, steering committee and,
Okay, yeah.
it might get people like it did
And
last
that's
year.
And when we had that meeting with, I think we had a good 30 people,
Yeah,
maybe
I do have
more,
all their
in the council
emails.
chambers.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a great turnout. We had a lot of momentum, and then boom, we were hit with COVID,
Right.
and we had to
just got to
stop
get that
everything.
back up.
So it would be great to be back in the chamber, council chambers, and have that many people on board once again, because there was a lot of enthusiasm that night. And I'm a little bit concerned because we only have eight or so people here tonight, making a major decision to go forward with a theme that sounds fabulous, but it's going to take some work to pull it all together, even though Michael's saying that the parade part would be ours, but the city would take on a lot of the responsibility for having the attractions around town prior to the 4th of July parade. So,
Right.
any other thoughts on that?
No, I agree, Bill. I can send out an email with the distribution list of everybody that we had in that previous meeting, asking them to participate in the next one. This meeting, I'm pleased that we had a quorum. We just, we really need to get, kicked off. And that's what we're going to accomplish tonight so that we
Right.
know where we're going to be. We have some other challenges, and the challenges are usually going to be dollars and cents. We can talk about that a little bit later in this meeting, but we've definitely got some challenges there as well.
No, I really like the ideas from Evelyn and Michael. I think they're well thought out, and if they have the time, if we have a larger group at the next meeting, and potentially if we had them there as well, talking a little bit about their ideas for a theme, I think that would be beneficial. And then we can make a vote that night. But, then we're getting awful close to the event itself. It's going to be next month is February, and then we're getting, within, 3 or 4 months of the 4th of July. So we just have to, we have a lot on our plate. So it would be nice if we could vote tonight, and at least we can start massaging the theme and incorporating that theme into what needs to be done, and then bringing on more people to take on responsibilities to make sure it happens. But then I'm thinking, if we're telling people that more people that come on board next month, and we're telling them we've already selected a theme, some might even object to it. So,
Oh, no, I
don't
have.
know. It's
holding over the adoption of the theme to the next meeting. Sheila, quick question.
Yes.
The tentative COVID rules, as far as meeting in person, is that going to be revisited next month, or where are we with that?
Right now we have January and February that are virtual. And I think, it really depends on, I know they're saying that we've hit the top of the surge, and we're working our way back down. So, I would have to work with our city manager on, if we have the numbers we had at that last meeting, the chambers wouldn't be a great place because it's really not a place to social distance 30 people, but we can move it to, the senior center, and we can social distance, much better there. Like when we did with Tournament of Roses, we just spread the chairs out everywhere. So, we could do something like that.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And I think it would only be the committee that could really vote on the theme.
That's true.
Right.
Even though you'd have a room full of other people, it would really be up to the committee. And I know that's, you don't want to say it that way, but.
But I think if we have a lot of public input, it will energize the residents, and there will not be any objections.
Right.
Sheila, if you can, maybe bounce this off the city manager and see if she would be on board with a public meeting.
I can ask.
Senior Center.
Yep.
And if we can nail that down, then I'll send an email out to the other list and ask them to participate. And then frankly, we can accept any additional members at large at that time, anybody who wants to participate. Again, it's not so much that the committee needs to expand. We just need different ideas and more participation so that some of us old timers can kind of take on a few responsibilities, and that way we get more ideas and more energy and more excitement.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Joe. So Sheila, I think, is their next meeting the 23rd of February, Wednesday?
Yes.
That's also the night for the special meeting of the council on city commissions.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to, okay, look at another meeting date then.
And if Joe wanted, or Bill, or anybody, member of the committee wanted to, appear at a city council meeting right before your meeting and just public comment for 3
Mhm.
minutes, make a pitch, encouraging people that what you're thinking about doing and we want to do and join, that you really need help.
I think that's a great idea.
It would be
Well,
via Zoom, and then you could just call in and it would just be your voice. You would be shown on the camera. So during public comment, just so you know.
And if you even want to show a couple, like a PowerPoint of a couple pictures of a prior parade or anything like that, a couple of things you guys do to get people excited, you're welcome to do that. I'll set it up really well. Introduce you guys.
Mhm.
This is what when I came here, this is what made South Pasadena and everybody I talked to is so special. What you guys do, that's the essence of the small town character. And everybody loves it. Everybody talks about it. And then it's you 10 people doing all the work. So it's about time somebody jumped in.
Yes. Well, and again, Michael, at that meeting 2 years ago, I think it was March, there was a lot of enthusiasm that night. If we could recapture that somehow and carry that momentum going into July, that would be fabulous. So I think, yeah, if we can get 30, 40 people at the next meeting, that would be a targeted goal, certainly. And if we can hold it in the senior center, that would be fabulous. So do you want to talk about that, Joe? You're being the chair, show up at the commission meeting that Michael's talking about?
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Joe, since you raised the issue of funds, dollars and cents, I was wondering, Bob Joe had leftover discretionary funds. So I don't know in 2023 if we can have all the council members can have the 5,000 discretionary funds. Do you know, Michael?
So I've donated in the past and I know we all have funds still. So when Joe speaks about the funding issues, I'll be happy to donate like I did before. And I would encourage my other council members to contribute also.
Well, I will do the same.
Was there an agenda item regarding that, Sheila, or am I? No, I think that
No.
was, that was how to engage local nonprofit organizations. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
I will. Because I was recording stuff before.
All right, so I think we've made progress on the theme. We'll hold it over until the next meeting for adoption and any other ideas that we might hear. I like Bill's idea that even though they may not be able to vote on it, I would like them to hear it. And I would like to get any input that we can, but frankly, I think that using the mayor's ideas and Jim and Lisa, what they've got planned, and the theme itself, I think it's going to work out really quite well.
And I'm so appreciative of Evelyn and Michael for showing up tonight with their ideas. It's great. And
Yes, thank you.
thank you very, very much for your input.
You're welcome.
John Primuth, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Are you still on with us?
No, he's not on.
He just texted he had to go to another meeting, but said,
Okay.
let you know he's had to go.
All right, sounds good. Sheila, let's go ahead and adopt the April 28 minutes.
Okay. There's a motion.
You know what? I don't think that was included with the agenda. but.
No. Uh,
That,
can
that's
al-
all.
I can bring them back if they want.
Well, everybody that's, yeah, well,
I'll bring them back with this one next month. That's fine.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
sounds good. All right, great. Okay, so we've got the minutes and now we've got a biggie. Before we get to talk about money. As you're all aware, the chairman's term is 2 terms. And then he or she steps down to become vice chair. And although we haven't done anything for 2 years, those 2 years are up. The one limitation that we have that we can address if we need to, and that is to change the bylaws, but the committee chairman needs to be a resident of South Pasadena. How many of us are still living in town? Rosie?
Am I the only one?
I think so.
Yeah, well, I can't do it. I don't.
You're not the only one that lives in South Pasadena.
Yeah, but everybody's so busy. Maybe we
I
should change
think
the
Bob just
bylaws.
volunteered. Wasn't
sorry?
that just Bob volunteering?
Well, maybe when I'm no longer the scoutmaster of Troop 333, I'll think about adding something else to the mix.
You want to bring, I don't want to push things, but I'm just saying, since if we can get much more, a lot more people at the next meeting, maybe we could have, maybe, Joe, you can have some conversations with people that are not here tonight and just, say, we need to move this forward and see if there's anybody willing to step up.
I agree. I'm not really in favor of changing the bylaws.
Right.
I'm very much in favor of walking anybody through with it. I've done the chairmanship and the parade enough times. I think I could probably do it in my sleep. And bringing on new ideas and new blood, especially with those of us who've been around for a while and have done this many, many times. I think it's a great opportunity. So maybe we'll be able to do that. I'll make a few phone calls.
Okay.
Talk to some people and see if we can maybe light a fire.
Okay, so we'll table this one and then we can move to number 8.
Discussion regarding how to engage the local nonprofit organizations to become part of the Festival of Balloons events.
They must have had a previous meeting.
I think that, I think we've been kind of talking about it without really knowing we've been talking about it. I know that the mayor talked about having different organizations such as the Vecinos and, Spark being more involved. I don't know how much they can be involved with the money part of things, but, that might be something that's a discussion as well. But I think we can get more people, the nonprofits, involved by having these extra, events and things like that. Or I think we talked about a little bit was saying if you're involved, like say, how Boy Scouts, Girl Scout troops come in, they're involved. Somebody, like Bob needs to be a part of the group to, be on board with something with either 4th of July event or the parade or the games at the park. I don't know. We were throwing different ideas out the last time we talked about this.
Right.
So I don't know. What are people's thoughts?
Well, I know that Little League has shown interest in at least having a member of their board participate on the committee. Whether or not Little League would be in a position to do anything else, I would think not, but the funding thing, although, you know, we did, and Mike Schlafer, I'll get this over to you. The Women's Club donated $300 to the Festival of Balloons.
Oh, very
wow.
generous.
And I have their check here and I'll get that over to you. There's a very nice gesture on their part.
Do you think talking about funding, I know Lynn and Alan had been a part of the Tournament of Roses, and we have Wendy that's been helping us from the print spot. But, you know, is doing some kind of mailer out to either all the businesses or residents, just kind of as a, you know, if you'd like to donate to, to the Festival of Balloons, you know, to continue our, I don't know, I'm just thinking of something, a way to fundraise again, to, you know, because like you said, we don't have enough money to pay the half of the down payment for the fireworks show that we need to pay soon. So we need to find that money to, you know, pay that. And if we don't, we're not selling tickets yet. So where's that money coming from? So it's one of those things. I know council members have said that they would donate some of their discretionary funds, but still it's a, you know, there's a lot more that's just the fireworks that we have to prepare for.
Right. Steve Lawrence did suggest that we set up a GoFundMe account. Bill and I have talked about it, and he thinks that Steve could do it quite easily. Whether or not he runs it or just gives us the technical know-how to do it. What do you think, Bill?
I think he would certainly entertain the idea of starting one. Yes. He was, I was expecting to see him on this call tonight. So, but I can get in touch with him tomorrow and see if he'd still be willing. Cause he actually expressed that, I think it was 2 years ago at our meeting.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, but he has indicated that in the past that he would like to start that.
Yeah, he felt like it was really a very doable thing.
Yes, yeah. But I can certainly get in contact with him, Joe, and follow up and bring that back to the committee.
Okay. Mike Schlafer, you mentioned to me that your books show that we have $11,000 on hand. Is that correct?
That's correct. As the end of 12/31/2021, we had approximately $11,325.
Okay, when we pay the 50% deposit to Pyro, historically, what do we have left for operating expenses before we see receipts from the fireworks show? A couple thousand?
Yes, there's usually like 1,000 or 2,000. It always puts us in a hard position because, you know, as people start to submit expenses, whether it be for porta potty, lights, posters, it definitely puts us in a tight bind because, you know, then you have to either delay, you know, expense reimbursing, or, you know, people have to put it on their own credit card and get reimbursed. It becomes complicated. We've always managed.
Right, but that has really required a lot of people to shell out, excuse me, to dig into their own pocketbooks to do that until we do get reimbursed, with the hope and understanding that we have a decent turnout at the fireworks show. I think we're going to have a good turnout. I think everybody's excited to do that again, but that is always a big question. My guess is that we are right now about $5,000 to $10,000 short of where we need to be just to pay the down payment and still have enough on hand to cover miscellaneous expenses. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that would be a good estimate.
Mr. Mayor, How far do you think council discretionary funds might get us?
You know, if
I
every,
don't want you to speak for the other council members, but all of them have been always very generous. And I think we've gone anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 every time we've come forward with hat in hand.
I think you're right.
Mhm.
If we were to be able to, you know, work that angle and see what we can do with a GoFundMe page, we just might be able to get there.
You didn't come to the, you should get on the agenda for an upcoming council meeting, Joe, so we can
Okay,
get you some money.
Just so everybody is aware, and Marty, I'm going to ask you to chime in here in a moment, but Pyro Spectacular gave us a estimate of $25,000, which is probably $3,000-4,000 increase from last year. They are paying a premium to get the pyrotechnics over from China. And they basically said, this is the best that we can do. But I asked them to pretty much keep the show where we are now and what would it cost, and they gave me a figure of 25,000. Quick question, Marty. I know that your side of the equation is one of our biggest expenses. Do you see any increases in your costs?
No, not really. I mean, there might be some extra fuel costs, but nothing that can't be absorbed.
Well, that's good to hear. Okay.
So, I mean, in my section of it's always, I think my credit card takes the biggest hit out of everybody's because I'm doing porta potties and the light towers and, deposits. And so whatever volunteer body wise we can get, I would really appreciate it because I'm, running like a chicken with his head cut off, just back and forth all over the place.
Oh, I hear you.
And if I didn't have to do that, I wouldn't
Yeah.
worry about the other stuff that much.
And
Right.
I suggest also, Michael, can we get in touch with Chris Warren at Athens? Maybe they can donate trash cans and porta potties.
You know, I think you and I can't, otherwise we've got to declare it.
Okay.
If we're asking, but I think the committee could, that's a great idea. Especially
Well,
now.
Athens has for many years brought in the cardboard trash cans.
Hmm.
So they run them all up and down the field. But
Yeah, and
again,
if I'm not mistaken, there's a stockpile at the city yard. So city yard usually brings over out of their stockpile those
Yeah, we
paper
have a ton.
cans.
Yeah, we have a bunch.
Maybe Joe,
But
get a letter to him. We're in negotiations right now with him, and this it'd be a good time to hit him up.
Yeah.
I just don't think they do
Yeah.
porta potties.
Oh,
No,
they don't.
No, they don't do porta potties. So it kind of puts us in a bad position there because I mean we have 3 different companies that we bid out for to try to get the best price on porta potties, but it's the 4th of July, so we're kind of stuck.
Well, why
Do
can't
you
we
use
just
on the
ask?
parade route or at the school or both?
We only use them at the library. So we have a handicap and a regular stall at the library only.
Why can't we just ask for an outright donation?
Yeah, that'd be better, but would it
Right.
help to have the senior center left open during the parade for restroom use?
We
Would
can,
it
but
help? I don't know.
our fear is always that somebody is going to get in there, stay in there, and having somebody to monitor it is
Well,
kind
if
of
we
our
put a
problem.
staff there, I mean, I could see if I could put a staff in there for a couple hours. Or even if we get so many volunteers and somebody wants to volunteer to sit there,
Yeah, we don't use them at the stadium at all, and I haven't even done the new stadium walkthrough, but we use the regular bathrooms that are there, and
right.
it's plenty enough.
Okay.
Marty, by the way, I understand that Pyro had some real challenges with the high school graduation and their fireworks. The way the gate is situated after the construction would prevent them from bringing large vehicles onto the field.
Wow.
Uh,
Fortunately,
I don't think that they can pull the truck up like they used to do. Just pull it up and then back it up against the baseball field,
right.
because that whole access is gone. They have to go in the access by the pool and walk it over. So it's a little bit more labor intensive. Probably talking, an extra 30 feet.
Okay, well, we can work that out. Obviously, that's not going to change. He thought that with the, they had challenges with the graduation. They would expect more of a challenge with our fireworks show. So,
Well, you know what? Nobody ever really accesses the baseball field, but you can access it by by Meridian. And I think you could probably pull a truck in on the Meridian side, right up onto the grass.
is there a gate on the Meridian side? Doesn't that go into the football field? Does it go onto the baseball field as well?
It goes onto the baseball field as well. There's a gate, and you can turn right into the baseball field or left and go up the hill to
okay.
the stadium.
All right.
Unless
So
they've taken that gate out, which no reason
I don't
for them
think
to
that
do
was part
that.
of the construction, but maybe we need to
I
go
know
back to
when
that.
I worked for maintenance at the high school, that's how we got onto the baseball field all the time, is the Meridian side.
Right. Okay.
So we'll go over that and we'll, figure it out with the school district and maintenance and see if we can figure the problem out.
Yeah, it was just Rosie, me and James. That's all right.
Rosie,
Yeah.
I'd like your opinion on something. One possible source of funding, and I think we discussed this at the last meeting where everybody attended, was the possibility of inviting food trucks to come in and actually have them pay a fee to be able to sell the food at Garfield Park.
Brought over by David. Lyman. So
We've
she'll be
had
there.
food trucks that usually will park on the street.
Yeah.
We don't charge them a fee for our events, but they have to have a business license and their grade, their health code grade. I mean, if you charge,
I don't know.
that's just something different.
How
But
that works.
it's hard because sometimes
All
they
I know is
don't make
David-
enough money for them to charge them $100 or more. They might not make that back. Depends on, the numbers and if people use them.
Well, I would
Yeah,
only want to do that if it was a source of income. I
So
think
if she's there, maybe we just show our support if we can be
got some real background noise there. I certainly like the idea of having some of the local scout groups and whatnot provide food. I know that they're still interested in doing that. So if we don't think that that's a funding source, I'd probably just leave it alone.
Right.
Okay, that works. Marty, I'm gonna contact the school district and see if we can set up a meeting with the principal.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Maybe talk to them about whether or not the new principal would be open to allowing food and drink onto the field.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll fly, but just because the maintenance people already have an issue with us to begin with, we're kind of like their 4th of July sore thumb.
Yeah, it's true. It would sure be nice to be able to get back to some sense of what we used to do.
Yeah. And now with the new buildings and everything, I haven't even been on property yet. It'd be great if we could meet with the principal maybe on the field. Because then we can really express what we do and how long we've been doing it, and maybe it'll be a little bit more dramatic than meeting in the new principal's office.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. All right, I'll give the super's office a call and see if we can set something up. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Just get whenever. I'm pretty wide open. In town a lot.
I think we've covered the agenda items, haven't we, Sheila?
Yes, we have. So just to kind of reiterate, I'll bring back the minutes and we'll bring back the election of the chair and vice chair. I'll add the voting, the approval of the theme. And then are there any other agenda items we would like to discuss and talk about at the next meeting that should be on the agenda?
Well, I think we really need to, and Bill, let's make sure that Steve Lawrence is on board with us and really explore the crowdfunding aspect. I mean, $10,000 in crowdfunding is probably not a heavy lift. I think it's probably something.
I will, I'll definitely do that, Joe. And then in addition to that, Joe, I will send out a news release through the city, working with Tamara, to all the to the local media, encouraging people to attend the next meeting, if that works with everybody on our committee.
Yes, let me just get a meeting set for the next time because the next meeting conflicts with another city meeting, so.
Right, I'll work with Sheila on that date, and I'll even I'll CC you a copy of the news release, Sheila, if that's okay.
That's fine.
You can give it a look, and
Mr. Mayor, can you?
we'll go from there. But I'll do it close. I'll write the story closer to the meeting, probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks out, and then maybe a reminder a couple of days out if we can encourage the city to get it out.
Okay. Can we add something about the financials? Can we have, I know it's been a couple years since we've had the Festival of Balloons, but just the last financials to bring those forward so that people see like, this is what we spent, this is how many we sold in tickets, this is how much we have left over, this is the cost of our fireworks, so that those people who are joining the committee can actually see like, oh, you really have to sell tickets to get money, and you start every year a little low, so that, and also just to bring it forward. I know I'm going to have to, it's funding. If we start asking council for funding, they're going to kind of want to know some information about, what the budget is, what our budget might be this year and what the finances looked like, from the previous, just a short report.
Sure.
Michael, can you put some numbers together?
Like I've done in the past, sir, no problem.
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be great. Thank you, Michael. I'll just add that like a, financial review.
Sure.
Mayor Cacchiotti, can you maybe see if Jim and or Lisa Reynolds would like to join in on our next meeting?
Yes, I'll contact them, Joe.
I'll
Okay.
add them to the email list too. And I have the list from the last, that last meeting we had all the people, and I'll resend it out to everybody again, all the information, so.
Sounds good.
Anything else for the good of the order?
So is the thought the next meeting is going to be another virtual meeting?
I'm gonna
I-
try and see what I can do. You know, if I can have. The city's doing virtual January and February. It really depends on this, how the surge is going. And if we continue, our numbers continue to drop, maybe, you know, we'll be able to open up closer to that end of February. But with the conflict with the next meeting date, the 23rd of February, I might have to go into March, the first week of March, maybe to have that meeting. So we might be okay. And then the chambers, if we have a lot of people, I might move it to either the senior center or War Memorial, just so we have the space and we can actually have, you know, people participate and feel comfortable too at the meeting.
Sounds good. And then I guess we're proceeding as if COVID is not going to be a factor on July 4th.
As of right now, we will, you know, for a mega, sorry, my dog is barking. A mega event,
Somebody's got another opinion there.
Yeah, she does. Mega events are 5,000. So I don't think we'll have 5,000 people total. Maybe we will, but I think with the parade route, as long as, you know, people are spread out like they already normally are. I mean, we had the Rose Parade. We're not going to do grandstands or anything like that. So I don't think we'll have to worry about it. But, you know, it's something that we might, you know, if we're doing a flyer, we put out there, don't forget, you know, be safe, wear your mask. You know, we can also put things up around if people, but people are going to do what they want. They're going to say they're outside, you know, and really hoping by that time we are on the very, very downhill, below the hill, into the ocean with all of this. But I thought that was going to happen last year, but so we will continue to monitor. I know we're talking about having, you know, like the Eclectic Music Festival, and they draw a lot more people than we do. So I think we might be okay.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, I'll keep you updated though.
Good to hear. Anything else? Anybody would like to make any other comments?
Mr. Chair, when do you think you'll have that, the finances ready, Sheila? So what I would like to do, the reason I'm asking is not this February 2nd meeting, but the February 16th meeting. I'd like to put on the agenda, if Evelyn would second me, to put some of my funds aside, and maybe she'll do hers. So each of us can maybe donate 1,000 each, put that on that agenda. And we can also, as we discuss that, Evelyn and I could pull it, and we'll talk about why we need it. And Joe could, you know, maybe pop in and public comment on it. We really need some volunteers just to kind of get the ball rolling in mid-February. Is that possible? In case somebody asks the question, how much money, you could add that in the staff report, Sheila?
Sure. Michael, do you think you might be able to have something in the next couple weeks?
Yes, I don't see why not. I should be able to have something done in a week or two.
Okay, thanks. Just send it to Joe. And if you have my email, I think I'm on the email trail too. You can send it to me too, but send it through Joe so he gets a good look and then send it over. Thank you, guys.
Evelyn, is that okay with you? Is that a good idea? Or?
Yes, I'll second that.
Great.
We can contact, I mean, I can contact RMNA and have that agenda is for the February 16th. meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Very well then. Hearing no other comment, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think Rosie's saying she's raising her hand, and I'll second her virtual hand raise.
Yeah.
Anybody else? That was okay. That was Rosie second, or was that Rosie making the motion?
I think she was making the
The
motion,
motion.
and I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I
It is
There she is.
8:46. We are officially adjourned. Very good meeting, good kickoff, and we will be in touch. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Evelyn, John, and the rest.
Good night,
of you.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
We'll be in
Good
touch.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.